Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Now, as I said in my blog of The Day After Tomorrow back in 2016, I don't really believe in the world ending, and I'm not the biggest fan of disaster movies, as long as they're done with an interesting story. Of course, we all know that disasters can be caused by anything, whether it be nature or terrorists. But, I think the rarest disasters in the media come from space, in the form of meteors. Yeah, bet you never thought I'd talk about something like this. Well, I didn't think I would either. And the movie I'll be vlogging today is something from the late 90s, which, after I rented it from Netflix several years ago, and, of course, bought my own DVD copy years later, thought it was interesting and epic. So let's get started. Released on May 8th, 1998, the movie is Deep Impact. So let's begin. A comet named Wolf-Biederman, which was discovered by a boy named Leo Biederman, is hurtling toward Earth and could mean the end of all human life. The U.S. government keeps the crisis under wraps, but crack reporter Jenny Lerner uncovers the truth, forcing U.S. President Beck to announce his plan. Grizzled astronaut Spurgeon Fish Tanner and his team will land on the comet and lay explosives, hopefully detering the object from its doomsday course. If not, humanity will have to prepare for the worst. So, what do I think of this movie? Well, in all honesty, yes, it's interesting and epic, though not a perfect movie. Just okay to watch just once in a while. But let's move on to Mustang notes. The origins of Deep Impact started in the late 1970s when producers Richard Zanuck and David Brown approached Paramount Studios proposing a remake of the 1951 movie When Worlds Collide. Although several screenplay drafts were completed, the producers were not completely happy with any of them, and the project remained in development hell for many years. In the mid-1990s, they approached director Steven Spielberg, with whom they had made the 1975 blockbuster Jaws, to discuss their long-planned project. However, Spielberg had already bought the film rights to the 1993 novel The Hammer of God by Arthur C. Clarke, which dealt with a similar theme of an asteroid on a collision course to Earth, and humanity's attempt to prevent its own extinction. Spielberg planned to produce and direct The Hammer of God himself for his then fledgling DreamWorks studio, but opted to merge the two projects with Zanuck and Brown, and they commissioned a screenplay for what would become Deep Impact. In 1995, the forthcoming movie was announced in industry publications as screenplay by Bruce Joel Rubin, based on the movie When Worlds Collide and The Hammer of God by Arthur C. Clarke, though ultimately following a subsequent redraft by Michael Tolkien. Neither source work would be credited in the final film. Steven Spielberg still planned to direct Deep Impact himself, but commitments to his 1997 movie Amistad prevented him from doing so in time, particularly as Touchstone Pictures had just announced their own similarly themed movie Armageddon, also to be released in summer of 1998. Not wanting to wait, The producers opted to hire Mimi Leder to direct Deep Impact, with Steven Spielberg acting as executive producer. Although publicized as an adaptation of his novel, both before and after the film's release, Clarke was disgruntled about not being credited on the movie. Director Mimi Leder later explained that she would have liked to travel to other countries to incorporate additional perspectives. Unfortunately, due to a strict filming schedule and a low budget, the idea was scratched. Visual effects supervisor Scott Ferrer felt that coverage of worldwide events would have distracted and detracted from the main characters' stories. Now, there are a few parts of the movie that I like the astronomy club at the beginning, the scenes where a group of astronauts work to plant nuclear bombs onto Wolf-Biederman, only to have it split in two. But, thankfully, later in the movie, they destroy the bigger piece by sacrificing themselves. And, in my opinion, the scene where the astronauts say goodbye to their families via video conference really made me teary-eyed. Another scene I liked in this movie is Leo and Sarah's wedding. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. It's strange for high school kids to get married, but since this was a time of crisis, it's completely understandable. Plus, it was really sweet. However, the scene where the small piece of the comet hits the Atlantic Ocean, which causes a huge tidal wave to flood New York City and other places on the eastern seaboard, was very intense. And that's basically all I have for Mustang notes. So, let's move on to the cast. Now, I'll only be talking about characters who are interesting. To me, that is. Let's start with Leo Biederman, played by Elijah Wood, best known as Frodo Baggins from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And he got to voice Nine in Nine, and Mumble from Happy Feet. In my opinion, Leo is a brave high school kid, and I think it was interesting that he discovered the Wolf-Biederman comet at the beginning of the movie. Plus, I think the way he drives a motorcycle is pretty cool. Next we have Sarah Hochner, played by Lily Sobieski. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Best known from Jungle to Jungle and Glass House. To me, Sarah is a nice girl, and she is very loyal to her family. Plus, I think she and Leo make a sweet couple. Next we have Jenny Lerner, played by Téa Leoni, best known from The Family Man, Jurassic Park 3, and Fun with Dick and Jane. Now, Jenny is an MSNBC journalist who is, throughout the movie, investigating the U.S. government and the ELE, which is short for Extinction Level Event. In my opinion, Jenny is very serious about her work, and she can feel very stressed due to the fact that she had a rough family relationship. But I think it was very brave when she gave up evacuating in order to save her friend Beth and her daughter. I also like the scene where Jenny broadcasts the Messiah's mission on the news. Finally, we have President Tom Beck, played by Morgan Freeman, best known from Bruce Almighty, the Lego Movie, the Dark Knight trilogy, and Lucy. In my opinion, Morgan Freeman does a great job playing a U.S. leader who, mostly throughout the movie, informs everyone via news broadcasts about the comet and what everyone should do for survival. Plus, I think Morgan's role is very interesting here, since, well, due to the fact that this movie was made years before Barack Obama was in the White House. And I'll never forget the time when he and his wife wrote to me when I became an Eagle Scout back in 2009. Other members of the cast include Ron Eldard, James Cromwell, Robert Duvall, Charles Martin Smith, Alexander Balouf, Blair Underwood, John Favreau, and surprisingly, Jason Dohring. So Tara was in this movie before he got to be in Kingdom Hearts. Wowie. And now, let's move on to my final words. Overall, Deep Impact is a pretty good film. The story is interesting, the acting is great, though there are a few scenes that I don't really understand too much, like the scenes involving the USA government, but the scenes in space are absolutely epic, and the scenes involving Leo and Sarah are very sweet. And the musical score by the late James Horner is touching as always. As for my rating, I'll give this movie a 71% out of 100. Well, that's it for today, everyone. Be sure to join me again next time, and I just pray that my sister can help me in my next episode. Mustang Power.